I'm live! Yay! Howdy. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Just barely pulled myself away from the live feeds. Of course, I'd rather be out here talking to you guys, but I have been watching the live feeds. I imagine some of y'all have been as well. Welcome to Cliff Notes Live. Welcome to my most favorite time of the year, Big Brother season. We're getting into it. It's been exciting. We're going to talk about all of that. Before we do, though, a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV, especially love Big Brother, and I love hanging with you guys every Monday night. And I also love the folks who come out here and support me watching the show later in the week. I know not all of you can watch live on Monday nights. People have actual lives, and we get to hang. Some people get tied up with some other stuff. I get it all. Thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, and while you're out there, you can hit the old thumbs up. But especially if you turn on the notifications, every morning I'm dropping a recap of what's going on in the house. Hadn't been easy when you get 17, 16, 15 people. There are a lot of conversations. But so far, I've been keeping it to around 30, 35 minutes or so. So I feel like I'm doing okay with that. But I do a recap every morning. So turn on notifications. You'll find out as soon as that drops. But we don't have to worry about that tonight, because tonight it's a live show. I want to hear all of y'all's questions. I certainly have my own opinions, and I'm sure they'll be discussed as well. I want to find out what y'all are thinking. Who's playing the best game? Who do you think's going to win? Who are you cheering for, which may not be the same? Who's going to win America's favorite? Showmances in the air. Oh, we just got a lot of the twist. A lot of questions to talk about, and I'm going to try to get to as many of them as I can. I may start talking a little fast just because I get passionate about it, but bear with me. And again, if I miss your question, it may just be because I just missed it. So please ask again if we need to. All right, let me see who's out here real quick, and then we'll jump right into this. Let's see. Karen Loveland, howdy, Karen. Lee Strike, Patricia Miller, Rita Coast, Kennedy Franklin, Marilyn Sutherland, Karen Hummer, Michelle Moore, Desiree Watts. I love seeing all y'all guys out here. Big Jake 88. Hey, Big Jake. Lynn Gideon, Paula Scar, Carol Mosier, Tommy Flan. Tommy. Let me fix these guys. Tammy Flanagan. Hey, Tammy. Brian Hosner. Brian, how are you, sir? Amanda as well. Let's see. Tommy Braskett, Doreen Morris, Ken T. Let's see. Macy Johnson, Tracy Muckenfuss, Hunter Green, Hattie Hunter, Chaz, Jared Morris, Mark Taylor, Becky Finley, Dr. Bose. Howdy, Dr. Bose. Howdy, sir. Laura Lewis, Colleen, Marketha Nard. Let's see. Ma, howdy. I'm glad you're out here as well. And let's see. We're going to Lisa D, TJ Kaz, Sakura Blooms, Rooftop Jitterbug. I like that login name. And we'll stop right there. I think I've got everyone covered. If I missed you, sorry about it. So many names I recognize out here. A few new ones as well. For those of you who are new, hey, welcome aboard. Warning, we are going to be talking about spoilers. We saw the episode last night. I'm going to be talking about the veto ceremony, veto winners, a lot of stuff that hadn't been covered on the show itself. So just be warned. If you're only watching the episode shows, bear with me. Maybe check back in a couple of days. It'll be sitting out there as a recorded episode so you can watch it then. All right. Lots of questions right off the start. I had one question. I always say, hey, if you got a question, you don't have to wait till now. You can send it during the week. LG Rags reached out to me with a fantastic question, and it was this. What is the timing between when you're picked to play in the veto competition and when the game actually starts? Is it one right after the other? We see sometimes on here, we know the veto ceremony or the veto pick is usually early in the morning, and then they play a little bit later. Here's the way that works. If we normally wake up at, 10 o'clock that you have to wake up. If there's something special going on, you wake up at 9. If there's something's going on, you wake up 2 hours earlier, which is typically at 8. So normally on a veto day, which is Saturdays, we would wake up at 8. Sometimes it was bright and early. Other times they give us a little bit of time, but you would wake up, you'd wander into the living room, you'd have the veto draw. If you watch my season, Kat and a few others they'd still be in their pajamas just saying, whatever. At this point, I don't care. But that was fairly early in the morning. You would have the veto draw. And then normally the competition was, say, mid-afternoon. We had The Haunting of Caitlin Herman, one competition was outdoors, but it had to be at night because it was spooky and all that. So we actually had to wait till the evening to do that. But most of the comps are in the mid to late afternoon. One of the reasons there's a gap between drawing and actually have the competition is because most of the veto comps we wear costumes, right? And costuming, wardrobing has to have time once they know who the six people are. I mean, obviously, the costume for Cliff Hoggs was a little bit different than the costume for Nicole Anthony. So they have to wait until they know who the six people playing are. And then I can imagine a quick call to costuming and they say, quick, get together. We need the big size, the small size. They start making it happen. I always felt bad for the folks, the costuming people who had to work on a Saturday because we were doing these competitions. But that's the way it works. So you've got a few hours in between, but it's primarily for the costuming and then for them to get everything set up camera wise and all that stuff. But it all takes place on a Saturday. I don't think we ever had a veto competition that wasn't the same day we had the veto pick and always on a Saturday, if I recall. So there you go. Great question. I appreciate that. All right, Karen Hummer. Can you explain Kelly to me? Can anyone? Yeah, I never seen anyone volunteer so much to be on the block. Here's the deal. Kelly was talking to Rachel at one point. I think they're in the upstairs gym, the have not used to be the have not room, the gym now. And she told Rachel, she said, I've really only kind of seen one season of the show. I'm not a huge Big Brother fan. I've only seen one season. My guess is that one season that she saw probably was last season with Tucker. And she saw Tucker volunteering to go on the block. She saw him continually pulling himself off the block. I think Kelly just is seeing that as, I don't know. I think she's seeing that as an aggressive strategy, but one that she thinks will work. Part of the problem is that because she won and pulled herself off the block the first time, the first Blockbuster comp, and she's seen there's been quite a few puzzles. Last week it was also a puzzle with Adrian and all. Because of that, I think she thinks all these comps are going to be puzzles and that she can dominate those kind of puzzles. They aren't all going to be like that. And if you keep doing it, eventually your luck is going to run out. And Kelly, if she has more opportunities, we shall see. It's not going to last forever. I think it's a fun game to watch as a viewer, but I think it's not setting you up for the long term. Now, it could be Kelly, because she doesn't have a lot invested in years and years of watching this show. She's just in there to have fun. She may just think, whatever. I'm going to make a splash while I'm in here. I'm going to make sure there's a lot of storylines around me. And if I go home, well, whatever, I go home. Now, I can't explain. I heard someone say in the feed yesterday, I think it was Morgan, that said, Kelly is just a female version of Keanu. They're just playing like they don't have a care in the world. Everyone's a little upset. How come they aren't more worried? How come they're so cocky and confident? I think maybe just Kelly doesn't know any better. And Keanu's probably the same way. It'll hit him. I think it has hit Kelly already based on what we saw today with the veto ceremony and all that we'll talk about. But yeah, I can't explain her. She's fun to watch. I'm looking forward to meeting her and seeing what she's like in real life. But here's the other thing. She's a pilot. She's traveled all over the world. Kelly may just be one of those adventurous spirits that's just a little aggressive with everything she does. She lives in North Dakota, South Dakota. I can't remember which one, but you got to do things to spice up life when you live out in the middle of nowhere, I suppose. She's fun to watch, but I don't expect to see her at the final two here at the end of the season. All right, let's see. Lynn Gideon. So over the pond thing with HOHs. Stop putting up people if you don't want them going home. Here to that. Carol Mosier saying, when are they going to get an HOH with a backbone that'll put up big targets? Yeah. For those of you who don't know, and then Ken T saying, heard Veto was a dud. Poor Adrian. Yeah. I agree with all three of you. First spoiler, I suppose, of the evening. For those of you who are not aware, we did have the veto competition. Worst possible case for Lauren and a lot of people in the house. Keanu won the veto competition. So, of course, he pulled himself off the block today. Yesterday, the feeds all day long was Lauren going back and forth. Who do I put up? And it came down to a decision. Do I put up Adrian or do I put up Ashley as the renom? I personally feel like Lauren made the wrong decision. She decided and we just saw it in the feeds there a little while ago. She decided to put up Adrian and not put up Ashley. Why? Why would you put up someone that is your potential ally that really is going to work with you? Because she is so scared of the women in this house. Ashley, but I think that's also Morgan and Mickey. She just, Lauren was so concerned about not wanting to get any blood on her hands. She thought it was perfect. Nominate 3 people who've already been on the block, so they aren't going to come after me. They've already been on the block. Jared Morris is saying, horrific move by Lauren on all levels. You know, I try to stay positive out here, and it doesn't reflect on her as a person. It's just, she's playing way too scared in that house, and we're seeing the effect of it. She was working with Adrian. Maybe they weren't the closest, but she was working with Adrian. She told Adrian, I don't want you to go. She told Kelly, I don't want you to go. Kelly had pointed out, you know, that, hey, we've all got your back. If you'll work with us, we've got your back. She had told, I don't remember Zach or Vince, who it was. She had told someone before she ever even won HOH that if she had a perfect world, Ashley would be going up. That would be who she would pick. That she wasn't going to do it because she knew the house wanted Keanu out and she didn't want 2 big targets on the block at the same time. But in a perfect world, she wanted Ashley gone even before Keanu. Well, once Keanu was gone, it seemed like a natural to then say, all right, well, I had it all planned out. Ashley, take a seat. But she didn't do it because she was so worried that Ashley and the other women would come after her if she did that. And so what does she do instead? She puts Adrian, who should have had her back. You would think would have her back. Ava had a comment yesterday, which I think cut right to the quick and into the important thing. She said, you've got to look at who you want to actually go home, because going up with Will still there, who probably is going to beat everyone with votes. She said, and Kelly, you know, may pull herself off the block. She said, you've got to assume whoever you put up could go home. So you better be thinking about who would you want to stay, who would you want to go home, and use that to make your decision. Forget about targets on your back and all that stuff. You just got to figure out what you want to do in terms of people in the house. Lauren didn't do that. We know she would have rather had Ashley gone. She got conned. I don't know if that may be too strong a word. The women all told her, we're not putting you up. We're not putting you up if you don't put us up at this point in time. Do you believe her or not? I'm not sure. The problem I've got is that I think the damage was already done. As soon as Lauren verbalized Ashley's name and let it be known that she was a possibility, I think the damage was already done. They may let her slide for a week or so because they probably have bigger targets on the other side of the house, but they had already talked about it. They want Kat and Lauren out of the house. They'll probably go for Kat first, but Lauren's going to be right behind them. So no, I think Lauren gave in to her fear, and a much better move would have been go ahead and put Ashley up. Then you've got, Kelly had said, you know, you've got 6 people on our side of the house that are all going to support you and get your back and all of that. I think Lauren would have found herself in a pretty decent alliance on the other side of the house if she'd done it. Because she didn't, that side, Kelly and Keanu and all of them, they don't necessarily trust her. Adrian certainly shouldn't trust her anymore. So she's lost that side of the house. The women, she already knew she wasn't, maybe she was at the bottom of the totem pole, but that's it. So I think Lauren ends up not really having anywhere to rely on or to count on because she was scared about making a move. Personally, I think it was probably the wrong move, but again, I know what it's like. I know when I got HOH in my season, it was hard thinking, God, what am I going to do? I finally said, whatever. I put up Jack and Jackson Mickey, 2 big targets. I was worried about them coming after me as well, but I didn't see other options of other things I could do to make it work. And so, you know, it's just, yeah, I was hoping we would have a different outcome at the veto ceremony, but we didn't. And now we'll see how it goes. I don't think it helps Lauren's game. I think it will end up sending her home a little bit earlier than she planned. It certainly strengthens the ladies in the house. So we'll see. I thought they were going to be really reeling. Rylie said, hey, send Ashley home. they're going to be running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Well, now they're going to feel pretty powerful that they were able to convince Lauren not to put Ashley up. So we'll see how it all turns out. It's going to be interesting Thursday night. If Will pulls himself off the block and it comes down to Kelly versus Adrian, and these two are tight. If it comes down to the two of them, I think Kelly probably goes home and Adrian stays. We'll see. If Will does not win the blockbuster power, I think either one of them goes home against Will. Of course, then you got Will, who kind of said, hey, send me home. I don't want to keep being the pawn. But don't keep volunteering to be the pawn, and don't assume that the pawn's not going to go home. You got to pick targets that you're okay losing at the end of the day. All right, Rita Case is saying, do you think Rachel's tears are orchestrated? Yeah, well, yes, but not all of them. I think Rachel certainly knows that you can play on people's emotions, and it does wonders. We saw a clip where she was hugging Keanu, and she's looking up at the camera like with the most devious smile on her face. Yes, I definitely think Rachel turns on the tears in certain times because it helps her. But I also think that Rachel is probably feeling as stressed as anyone in this house. She has an extra level of expectation. She's expected to just come in and dominate this game. Once she lost Amy, I think she probably felt a little lost, that maybe things weren't going well. Remember the other seasons that she always did? She always had Brendan there. She always had a ride or die, someone that she could absolutely turn to with all kinds of support and all that. She doesn't have that in the house right now. And I think that's one of the reasons that she probably formed a final two with Ava and is trying to stay close with a few of the women. But no, I think she is truly stressed in there, and I don't think it's all manufactured. I think some of the tears, I even heard her while I was getting ready for the show. She's talking about her kids trying out for the Nutcracker and saying, "Oh, Brendan, make sure you take him to rehearsals." So she's thinking about family. She's feeling stressed. It's a new game, new kind of gameplay from when she played. So no, I don't think they're all manufactured, but some of them are. I would expect them to be, and they should. I mean, do whatever you can to win it. I played a very logical game. Rachel always played a little bit more emotional game, so you might as well play on people's emotions and see how that'll work. Let's see, Brian Hostel. Brian, how are you, sir? Talk about how to manage DR sessions since you've been through a season. Oh, those DR sessions. I always went in thinking, all right, one, are they going to want me to try to say something that I don't necessarily want to say? Do I want to give away too much? Do I want to say something negative about someone that's then going to get thrown out there to the audience, and it's going to turn out that person just has a huge following, and now I'm just the devil incarnate and all that? I was always worried when I went into the DR room about what was going to be asked and how I was going to respond. My most fun with the DR sessions was when it became obvious it was a fun session. They wanted me to tell you before the wife, I just do goofy stuff. That was always fun because I'm happy to play along. But when they started talking about strategy and things, and they do a good job about getting you nervous by asking you leading questions. What do you think about so-and-so? Do you trust them? And how certain are you that you aren't going to get put up this week? And a lot of things that just make you kind of, oh God, you drive me bonkers here, guys. So we had a certain amount of that. But I always was honest, I think, in there. I don't really remember trying to mislead a Big Brother or anything. It's just sometimes I would not be so definitive. I may have known exactly what I was going to do, and I'd say, I think I may do this, but I understand that there's some implications to it. And so I try to hem-haw around a little bit. And I did go, and I know I see some people going there, hey, cursing, everybody, that person. I don't remember that I did a lot of that. I may have done Jackson Mickey once or twice at the very end. I think I probably had a few choice words here and there, but I felt that was justified. The rest of the time, I was just trying to remind myself before I went in there that I was just there to have fun. I would always chit chat with the people asking questions and laugh and try to have fun, try to ease them. I think they were trying to get me, they're trying to get you comfortable talking to them, but I was trying to do the same thing as well. Having as normal a conversation as you can have, considering you're talking to a camera and you can't see the people asking the questions. But I don't know. I just went in and said, don't say something stupid, because if you say something stupid, it'll probably end up on the episode. So just watch what you say. And for the most part, I think I did. All right. Chaz is saying, how about the Cliff Hog mention on BB Unlocked episode? Yeah, talking about the cowboy hats. Mentioned me, and they mentioned Cowboy from season. Was he in season 2? I think. Yeah, I sure wish they'd said, "Hey, Rylie could be the second cowboy hat wearing guy to win a season of Big Brother," but it didn't happen, and that's all right. Taylor was pretty much saying, "Yeah, let's keep it that way." As far as Rylie not winning another season, I can't see Rylie. I forget that Rylie's in the house sometimes until Kat's around, and then suddenly he starts to shine. Mark Taylor saying, who's having a good season and who's having a bad season? And Justin Granberry is saying, who's playing the best game? Oh, gosh, who's having a bad game? There's a bunch of them. I feel like Ashley is not having a great game. Keanu's not having a great game. Who's having a good game? Who's playing the best game in there? I should have thought about this ahead of time. I think Vince has a good game, but I also think that he's spreading himself a little too thin. I think it's going to catch up to him at some point in time. Jimmy, I thought was having an okay game, but I feel like he's had some setbacks. Lots of people calling Jimmy a snake and not feeling like he's that trustworthy. Who's having a good game? You know what? Ava's having a good game. Ava has not had any huge decisions to make, which, why volunteer to make them if you can? There's nothing wrong with being a floater. And I think Ava, to some degree, is just going a little under the radar. Everyone loves Ava. If she's on the block, I can't see anyone voting her out anytime soon. And while I may call her a floater a little bit, she also has a very definitive opinion. She stood up and said, I don't want Will to go home. So I'm not sure that she's willing to flip-flop a whole lot. It's just that she's not necessarily stepping into the thick of things right now. And on a season like this, why would you? There's so many strong personalities at the start of the game. If it was a season where everyone was playing very cautious, then maybe you could take a little bit more of a role and that would be okay to help lead the narrative and all that. But I don't see Ava overpowering some of the people who are getting all the narrative right now. And so if that's the case, why commit to things that are going to maybe come back and hurt you on down the road? I think Ava's playing a good game. Morgan, I'd be tempted to say she was, but sometimes I feel like her whole beef with Keanu, I get it. You don't want him in the house, but sometimes I feel like it's become a little too personal for her, and you always have to worry about that. Rylie, he's not playing a good or a bad game. He's not playing any kind of game at all. So who am I missing? Kat, she's got a lot of targets. I don't think she's necessarily setting the world on fire. I don't know. Maybe Ava. As far as who's going to win the game, it's so early to tell. I picked Ashley to win. I don't think that's going to happen at this point in time. So my winner's pick, probably not my best shining moment. On the other hand, I did pick Zay to be the first male boot. I picked Amy to be the first female boot. I also picked Kelly to get booted pre-jury. So I may be able to pick the unsuccessful players a lot more than I can pick the successful ones. We'll find out. All right. I'll have to think about that question more about who I think is going to win, because it's I don't know. I do think Ava's going to win America's Favorite unless things change between now and then. I think, Zach, I may throw Zach out there. Zach's playing a pretty good game. Everyone seems to like Zach. He hadn't attracted a lot of attention. There's too many. There's other big bros that are going out, getting gone after or whatever. Zach's just kind of treading along, doing okay. So maybe I'll throw Zach up there as one that I'm impressed with so far. Tim Cox, thank you, sir. I appreciate the support out there. I do this as a labor of love, but I'm always appreciative of the support as well. You've been out here a long time, and I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I love doing this. I love talking on Monday nights and just talking about Big Brother in general. All right, let's see what else we got on here. Marion is saying, when you were in the house, did you guys ever talk about, hey, our show is on tonight? I wonder what production is showing all the time. We would keep track of that. We knew exactly when that show was coming on, and we were laughing about what they were possibly showing. And I know I'd won HOH after the battle back. I knew the battle back was live. I was excited that my family had seen that, but I was excited that they were going to get to see me then on Sunday night, winning the Patch Perfect HOH competition. Yeah, we kept track of it all the time, and constantly talked about not just what they were going to show, but are they showing good stuff? Are they showing bad stuff? And I'll give y'all an example of that. Christy Murphy from my season. A lot of people, after she got out, she found out a lot of people made fun of the way she ate. Maybe she didn't keep her mouth closed that much. I never even noticed it while I was in the house. I guess you learn to just overlook things. But at one point, I came downstairs. Christy had gotten called to the diary room, and I walked downstairs, and she came right back out. I said, "I thought you got called to the diary room." She said, "I did, but I've got to get some chips." I said, "Really? You're that hungry? You're going to eat while you're in the diary room?" And she said, "It wasn't my idea." And at that point, I realized that, all right, they want her eating in the diary room. And I think she realized at that time as well that there maybe was something going on, that people were talking about the way she ate and everything. So the littlest thing that you get asked to do while you're in the diary room gets you thinking and get your attention. At one point in time, I was in there, and production said, "Hey, Cliff, do you have any special message for the Cliffomaniacs out there?" And I was like, the what? And they said, "Oh, yeah, there's people who call themselves Cliffomaniacs." Well, I didn't know that. All I could think is, oh, all right, I got some supporters. And that cheered me up. It made me think that, okay, maybe they're portraying me in a decent light and all of that. So I don't remember what I said, but that little thing that they just kind of slipped and mentioned what people had called me or supporters and all that, just that little bit was enough for me to think, all right, well, maybe I am getting okay in the way I'm being presented and all of that. So yeah, we were constantly worried about how we were being portrayed, who was looking good, who was looking bad. When they had America's field trip, if you remember, it was an extra competition, and the three people who were picked competed. One won immunity, one got put on the block, and one won a punishment. Jackson Mickey won. He was off the block, pulled himself off the block. Christy got put on the block, and then Sis had to wear a chicken costume. We spent a lot of time talking about, did they pick you because they don't like you, or did America pick you because they want you in there as a way to win the immunity? And Jackson Mickey said, yeah, no, they didn't pick any of the three of us because they like us. They picked us because they don't like us. And we were like, no, that's not the case. But meanwhile, all of us are saying, yeah, that's probably the case. So yeah, we always pay attention to that. All right, let's see. Hunter Green. Hunter saying, do you think Rachel cheated in the HOH competition? I heard that. I haven't seen any of the details. I just know that she was taking some notes during the competition. She had to turn them in. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. When we did competitions like that, where you stood in a booth and you answered questions, as I recall, every time we did that, there was always a little board underneath. I think it was mainly a whiteboard or a marker board, but there's always a board. So if it came down to a tiebreaker, you could quickly reach down and grab it. And I suppose that she could have written something down then. I guess. I don't know. I am not really that worried about it. If she tried it and she got away with it, well, more power to you, Rachel. But she didn't. And so it is what it is. Take advantage of everything you can do. I know in our season, we had the bird calling all night long. Of course, it was during prank week. Turned out we didn't even have to know it, but playing bird pranks all night long. We don't have any pencils or pens or paper or anything in that house. But I figured out, pour a little talcum powder in the bottom of one of the ice chest props in there. A nice little 1/8 of an inch or so. And then you can write with your finger and take some notes in that talcum powder. Close the lid. No one's smarter. You look at it every once in a while to help remind you what the bird calls were you already had. That worked for about 15 or 20 minutes before I heard, Cliff, please come to the diary room. And I got in there and they said, all right, Cliff, we know what you're doing. You're not allowed to have any notes, including powder. You need to go get rid of it right now. All right, I don't want to get in trouble. That's fine. So I went, I shook the the ice chest up. I opened the lid, held it to the camera, said, "There you go, big brother." And I think after that, I got, "Thank you." So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm not too worried about it. All right, let's see. Hold on a second. Trying to get up on these comments. Tim Cox again. Tim, thanks, sir, again. Heard your name on Big Brother Unlocked also. I like your hat, but Riley's not sure about the show yet. All right. Here's the deal. This is a hat. This is the hat I wore inside the Big Brother house. I I actually had two hats. I think I've told on the show on here before, so I'll go quick. I had a straw hat, very similar to Riley's, that I also was going to wear in the house. And really, summertime, you're supposed to wear straw, wear felt in the wintertime. It made sense to wear straw, but it was a white hat. They said it messed with the camera. It just washed out the camera. The camera trying to get the white balance, saw my hat, and then my face suddenly would get too dark. And also, they said it's just not going to work with the cameras. So they didn't let me have that hat. It stayed locked away until I got out at the end of the season. And then at that point, I got it back. Funny thing, when I got on the airplane, I carried a hat box. It's a box that carried for cowboy hats, and I had my hats in there. I got on the plane, and a woman came up to me and she said, "Are you a musician? I see your special." Yeah, I guess she thought they were symbols or something. She said, "Are you a famous musician?" And I said, "No, it's just my cowboy hats." And little did she know that, I wasn't a famous musician, but I was getting ready to go on TV. But yeah, that was it. All right, let's see. Karen Hummer. Karen, thank you for the support as well. You've been out here forever. I appreciate it so much. Karen saying, for caffeine on late nights, so funny when you said, "Welcome to the game, Rylie." Oh, I want Rylie to do well. I do. But he just seems like he's not really playing the game. Now, I think it's too easy to blame it on him having a passionate infatuation with Kat. I think if he didn't have anyone in that house that he was in love with, I think he'd be playing the game exactly the same way. I think he's just in there thinking, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to mess with all the gossip and people back and forth and a bunch of chihuahuas in this house. I'm just going to sit back and let the firestorm go around me. He's like your school has a food fight and everyone's throwing food everywhere and going crazy and screaming and hollering. There's always one person sitting right in the middle of the table and just continues to eat their hamburger. Not a clue in the world's going on. I think that's Rylie. They had yesterday, Rylie, I can't remember, someone came out, I think Rylie and Ava maybe were talking, and someone came out and mentioned Lauren having a hard time deciding between Ashley and Adrian. And Rylie said, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know she's debating the two. I didn't know those two names were mentioned. I didn't even know the veto ceremony was tomorrow. I don't know if he's serious when he says that or he's just kind of playing along with that mentality. Maybe a little bit of both. I'm curious to see if his attitude and the way he plays the game changes as we go forward. I did hear him say that first time someone puts me on the block, you're going to see a different Rylie, and it's not going to be a Rylie you're going to like sing. He said, I've got a different gear, and it's going to be scary Rylie at that point in time. All right, scary Rylie. I'm ready to see. Not that I'm necessarily wishing you go on the block. There's a lot of the people I maybe would like to see on the block before you, but if that pulls you out of your stupor and we get to see a different level of Rylie, bring it on, my friend, because he's got the cowboy hat. He's got a reputation he's got to protect for us Cowboys who've been in the house. Right now, he's just hanging out. And I had one or two people during my season who just kind of hung out. I want people who are playing the game. I want that kind of person in the house. All right, Jeff Nielsen is saying, what if there was mystery noms? I'd love that. Red Mask stops HOH from showing noms if they tell they're have-nots for the rest of the season. Secret veto players are noms. POV meeting, HOH tells 3 noms. I would love to see more uncertainty in the house. And I'll think about all the different things you suggested. Lots of twists in there, but I'd love to see it. We've kind of had theoretically something like that with this mystery HOH takeover, but I don't know that that's ever going to happen now because there's too many people that know or at least suspect Mickey of having the power. So she gets interrogated, and all it takes is one person guessing all it takes is the HOH guessing that she's the one that has the power. and it goes away. And I just think someone will tell whoever the HOH is that, hey, it's probably Mickey. But if it wasn't for that, then she would have the ability to really change these nominations and do some of what you're suggesting. I think it would be fun to take a little bit of like the British version of Big Brother and combine it with the English version. What if instead of having 3 nominations made by the HOH, what if every week you had 2 nominations made by the HOH and 1 nomination made by America, by the viewing public? Could we not have fun? Could we not throw that house into a tizzy just based on who we picked week after week to go on the block? You pick someone, that person is immediately going to think, "Ah, great, America hates me." Are they gonna go into it and become even more of a villain? Are they going to try to change their ways? What's the rest of the house going to think if they really want Keanu up, but then suddenly they find out that the house put Rachel up? Are they going to say, well, America obviously wants Rachel out. Maybe we should go along with America so they like us and vote her out. I think you could have a lot of fun, even if it's not every week, just occasionally have, and maybe every week it's different. That 3rd nomination every week. Sometimes America does it. Sometimes it's some random something. Maybe it's some kind of mystery, something that happens in the house. The first person to cut open an avocado that week is the nominee, or something, just something dumb like that would cause all of us watching the feed. Oh, she almost did it, and then she decided that she didn't want Mexican food. I think you have a lot of fun with it, and it would throw the house into complete disarray as well. So there's a lot of things we could do with it. But I will say, I don't know. I was gonna say I like the twist so far. I'm still undecided on this 3rd nominee, just because we've seen it. Every week someone's pulling themselves off the block. And I think we're going to see that just about every season from now on, which means, why am I going to put up a big target? Look at Lauren this week. If it was just 2 nominees and one of them pulled themselves off, maybe she would put Ashley up. But this idea that you can so easily come back off not easily, but that you have an extra chance to come off the block, I just think that that affects gameplay. It maybe stifles gameplay a little bit. At least cuts down on people willing to make these huge, big moves, because it's just too easy sometimes for people to come back in the house or to get off the block. So I don't know. We'll see, but I'm nervous about that. I think it may really slow down the early game of Big Brother. Of course, it's been pretty entertaining this season, so I may be completely off base here. All right, Rooftop Jitterbug is saying, does production conduct interior remodeling between seasons? Has the upstairs balcony always been there? Yes and yes. They most certainly strip that whole house down. The basic floor plan is the same, but even that, sometimes they change. When I was there, you had a boat room. You didn't have a door between the bathroom and the kitchen. Now you do. The have-not room was upstairs. Now the have-not room is downstairs. So they take the basic floor plan, but they make all kinds of changes to it throughout the season. Here's my question, and I don't really know the answer to this. What do they do with all of this furniture and props and everything from one season to the next? I had someone tell me that a lot of the production assistants and people who are involved in the show kind of get the chance to grab some stuff if they want. How cool is that? I do wish, as a player in the game, if they had said, hey, there's a few things. Is there anything especially memorable to you that you would like to have before we send stuff out? I had some blankets I would have loved to have grabbed, and just some random things here and there, not high dollar or whatever, but there's a lot of stuff that gets sent to a thrift store or something every season. They completely remodel every time. I'm trying to remember what the other part of your question was. Redesigning. About the balcony. Yeah. I think the balcony has always been there. It's the same as when we were there. The difference is we had a spiral staircase, which I guess was considered dangerous or not impressive enough. So now they've got a different staircase, but the balcony was always there. In the lounge room, we had fish tank. We were the last ones to have fish tank. We killed the fish. So I guess they decided they didn't want fish in there anymore. We didn't do it on purpose, other than me putting my fishing hook in there. I didn't do that. If I'd had one, maybe. But no, we fed them. We did everything we were supposed to do. I think the fish didn't like being trapped They didn't like being trapped in a fish tank anymore, and we like being trapped inside the Big Brother house. I don't know. But yeah, they got rid of that. But yeah, as far as I know, the balcony has always been there. All right, Lynn Gideon is saying, hearing about players sleeping during, I know, and they call it meditation. I thought napping wasn't allowed. It's not. It shouldn't be allowed. It drives me crazy since I'm the one staying up all night watching the overnight feeds, and they can stay up all night because, although I will say they're going to bed a little earlier than last season. But yeah, they apparently call it meditating. Oh, I'm going to go meditate for a little while. And it's just them wearing sunglasses and sleeping. They didn't let us get away with that. I remember so many times I would put on sunglasses, I'd put on a baseball cap, and I'd put my head down. Of course, it doesn't help me that I snore. That's a pretty good sign that your meditating's reached a whole different level. But I know a lot of times they say, wakey, wakey, or no napping allowed, house guest. And the way that you would not get called out for that, you had to have one body part moving. So I always try and think, how can I fall asleep while still wiggling my hand or tapping my foot? And I would try to do it. I'd say, all right, I'm going to close my eyes. God, it feels so good to have my eyes closed. I'm just going to keep tapping my hand, tapping my hand, tapping my hand. And then I'd drift off, and Big Brother would call. That Big Brother called me out every single time. There are a few people during my season who seem like they got a little bit of a pass. Cat slept in quite a few times. I guess if you're enough entertainment, you get a little extra. I don't know, but yeah, and I know Christy would several times. She'd say, "All right, Big Brother, I'm actually going to meditate. I'm going to meditate. It's not some secret symbol for something. I'm not sleeping. I truly am going to go meditate." And she'd get her chakra and or whatever she would do. So she would tell them ahead of time. I feel like they've relaxed the rules a little bit. And maybe it's just because they think if you sleep a little bit during the day, you have more conversations at night. It's easier to have conversations because there's fewer people awake. So you get more strategy talk, gives them more content for the shows. There's always a motive for everything they do in that house. And I think at this point, it's just them thinking there's so many people in the house during the day. If we force them all to stay awake, we're going to actually shut down some conversations we get later in the evening. And we won't get the conversations during the day because there's not enough privacy in there. We'll see if they keep doing it towards the end of the season. I hope they start making them stay up because it drives me crazy. All right, Tommy Braskett saying, do you really think they're going to be ready for the old school Rachel playing the game? I don't think they've seen old school Rachel playing the game yet. Now, I heard her complaining. She said, I used to win all these competitions, and now suddenly I'm not. Well, welcome to my life, Rachel. I didn't get the early stuff, but I know what it's like to feel like you're just trying to stay caught up with some of the younger folks in that house. But no, I think Rachel's going to surprise them. There's way too many people this season who have not seen Rachel play the game. Lauren said that she watched Rachel Rylie, watched her play the game live when Lauren was 7 years old. That doesn't make you feel old at all, does it? I think right now Rachel is just trying to get her head wrapped around who's the power people in this house, who can you trust, who's going to come to you, who's going to be opposed to you. She's getting a lay of the land, which I think you need to do. And once she feels like she's getting into a power position, she's going to turn it on. Yeah, I think the first time she starts yelling at some people or everyone's already scared of her. The first one that she actually goes after, heck, they may just self-evict. She may not even have to say anything. She may just give them a death stare and they'll say, yeah, I'm out of here. See you later. It was great knowing you, but I'm out of here. I don't know. No, I think that's a very good question. I don't think they have any clue. Right now, there's too many people in this house that are saying, yeah, she may have been great once upon a time, but now, she's old school. That's old. That's done with. It's a different world. And, we're biding our time before we send her out the door because, I don't want to be the person to take the shot, but we'll get her out. The longer the wait, the more comfortable she's going to start feeling again. And Rachel understands this game like not everyone in this house does. So yeah, I'm waiting for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Keanu doesn't know what he's messing with. Every time he starts kind of, he and Rachel, their love-hate relationships is very interesting, but Keanu's going to be on the wrong end of it here before too long, I think. All right. Doreen Morris is saying, What do you think about the live feeds today wanting Will out? Would there be enough votes? I'll be honest. I was doing like actual regular work today, so I didn't get to see as many of the live feeds. Trying to check in for the veto ceremony as best I could. I didn't realize that maybe there's talk now about getting Will out. I was a little disappointed in Will. It just seems like he kind of gave up there for a little bit, saying, if you're going to put me up as a pawn every week, just send me home. No, that's not what you do. You say, fine. If you want to do that, then I've got to figure out a different strategy. I've got to either play the pity attitude with people, or I've got to convince people that because I'm on the block every week, why wouldn't you keep me in the house? I'm always going to be a block sitter for you. I mean, you have to be willing to pivot. And if you come into this house and you're not part of a big alliance, if you find that you're getting picked on, for lack of a better word, then run with it. Figure out how you can turn that to your advantage. I got put on the block 6 times out of the 13 weeks we played the game. Plus, I got banished on week number 1. So basically, about half the time I could be in a vulnerable position, I was. And I didn't grap about it, and I wasn't happy, but it was just the way the game works out. And so I started making some deals and figuring out how I could protect myself even when I was in bad situations. Will needs to do the same thing. If Will was to go home, I'm okay with it. I'm always going to cheer for the older guy, just because kindred spirits and all of that. Will has not done a whole lot in this game that really suggests that he deserves to stick around. He's trying, and I can certainly empathize trying to fit in with a bunch of folks talking about. They had a conversation about Blink 182. I guess one of the members is married to a Kardashian or something. Will was like, I don't know. It took him a while to find, that person with a tattoo. So maybe he does know a little bit about it, but he's trying to fit in, and I know how hard it is, but you can't ever give up. You can't ever take a day off. You just have to always be willing to pivot. And I don't know that Will has necessarily done that just yet. So if they have the votes and send Will out, the good thing is I don't want Adrian to go. I thought I was going to cheer against Adrian. I thought he was a little too cocky based on his preseason interviews. I find myself kind of cheering for the guy. I hope he does well. I don't necessarily want him going home this week. Kelly's too much fun to watch play the game. I'm not really in a huge mood for her to go home either. If Will went home, I wouldn't like it because the old guy not making it to the end again. But I'm not sure that there isn't a little bit of it that wouldn't be deserved as well. So, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to reach out to him and be incredibly happy to meet him and all that either. We'll see. I would have guessed that he was going to win against anyone, but if they're talking differently, things can change quick inside the Big Brother house. 7:52, so quick. All right. Ma is saying Rylie would be funny to watch on the block. Not scary. I don't know what he would do. Would he just have a meltdown? Would he just pull within himself and just pull a blanket over his face and not talk to anyone? Would he be the new Josh Martinez, just walking around banging pans everywhere? He curses a lot now. I'm not sure. I don't know if we could handle anymore when he's actually on the block. I don't know what Rylie would be like on the block. We're going to find out probably sooner rather than later, but I hope it lights a fire under him. I'll just say that. Ma, it could be fun watching him. It's going to make for good TV. Whoever has the courage, we'll use that word, whoever has the courage to put Rylie up for the first time, I'm going to give a little bit of a props to him, whether it turns out to be a good move or not, just because I think he's a wild card. He may go off on whoever does it. You may just forget being an enemy in the house. He may be crafting ropes and chasing you down with a lasso or something before that all is said and done. You'd have to be a little courageous to put him up. And maybe that's what he's counting on. Maybe he's crafting a persona that may be completely different. I don't think so, but maybe we'll see. All right, Lisa D is saying, Kelly, she said she would forfeit her game to go home to Adrian so Adrian could stay. Yeah, be careful what you promise or you wish for, right? Don't ever do that. I don't care if you're just in there to have fun. You got to play your game. And Adrian could be the nicest guy in the world. You're not there to support other people playing the game. I don't ever, It's not that I don't have respect. That's the wrong way to put it. I don't ever want to see people in the house who are willing to sacrifice their game for another person's game, no matter how pure the motives are or anything else. Nicole, Anthony, and myself, man, I think we're as tight as you could be. I would have done anything for her. But at the end, if it came down to her and me, you better believe I was going to pitch everything I could against her. And my final two speech was going to go after her however possible. You play to win at the end of the day. You watch out for the people that you think are going to benefit your game, but you don't ever say, I want to go home in exchange for this person staying. I don't like that. I just don't like that at all. All right, Hunter is saying, mess with the bull and you get the horns. Rylie would, Hunter, you probably understand Riley's mentality a lot more than a lot of us do. Hunter's a fellow bull rider, and so Riley's a bull rider, right? As opposed to steer wrestling or anything else. I think so. He looks like he ought to be a bull rider, but yeah. Well, you may get some big old horns if you ever do that to Rylie. We'll find out. All right, 755. All right, let's see. Winner 500. Hey, Winner, how are you doing? The way to get Keanu out is to backdoor him. Morgan's been going around everywhere saying, don't put him up. Wait. Do him as a renom, and I agree with that. Misfire is saying, get Keanu. Why can I suddenly not say this? Get Keanu out in a double with Ava's HOH. Well, that would be interesting. A double, I think, is a long way away from now. Although we've got 17 house guests, you may have two doubles. You could have one pre-jury and one after jury. And maybe that would be kind of fun. That would surprise them, right? They're all sitting there already saying, oh, they said last week, it's going to be the wall competition. Well, it wasn't. Now they're saying this week, oh, it's going to be the wall competition. Could be, I suppose. They shut down the yard early. They've already lost the backyard. Normally, we would lose the backyard Tuesday mornings. Apparently, they've already lost it. So they're thinking it must be some huge, intricate competition in the backyard, which makes them think it could be the wall. It's possible. When we did the wall competition during my season, there were 7 of us left. Holly was HOH, 4 outgoing HOH, so she didn't compete. So it was Jackson and Tommy, Nicole and myself and Christy and Jessica. Jessica falling. We had no clue that was a meme. So our wall competition was a lot later in the season. There have been some seasons where it starts off a little bit earlier. Now, talking about intricate setups and all that, it could be the wall. It also could be, we've had a lot of competitions here in the past few years, started with our season, involving people hanging from ropes and, you know, you're like a puppet on a string kind of deal. I think it's about time for a competition like that, and kind of a physical comp, but I could see that happening. Last week was a mental comp. Should I make a bet? No, I'm not going to make a bet on, but watch, we'll see. I'm thinking before a wall comp, it's going to be something hanging from ropes of some sort or another, is my guess. Y'all tell me what y'all think we're going to see this week, but they're already thinking it's the wall and all that. You try to think ahead every single time. As far as Keanu, yeah, Morgan's saying, don't put him up. It gives him too many chances. Wait and backdoor him. I've had some people say, oh, you can't backdoor because you always have the chance to pull yourself off with the blockbuster comp. I get it, but I'm still going to call it a backdoor because you're keeping them from being able to compete in the veto. You're reducing by half the number of chances they have to get themselves off the block. So I'll still call it a backdoor. I think you have to do that at this point in time, but you still need to make sure the people you put up as your initial targets are people you're willing to go home if they stay on the blocks. Just a lot of nominees when you nominate 3 people to start with. All right, let's see. Misfire saying, oh, the pressure cooker comp needs to return. We could have it. We've seen it here lately, right? 15 people, 14 competing since Lauren would sit out. Yeah, maybe. I would almost hope it's a few more weeks later. I'd like to see a few 10, 12 people or something, but whatever. I want to see the pressure cooker again. That'd be great. And then question, when is Zingbot or OTEV? Zingbot's late because Zingbot has to do zings for everyone left in the house. And you don't want to have too many people. I think we had it with about 8 people. Nick was still in the house, Jessica. So I feel like maybe about 8 or so is when we had Zingbot show up. OTEV was a little bit before that. We had about 3 or 4 people watching us compete and 6 people playing. So I'm going to say around week number when there were 10 of us left. So was that week number 5 or 6 when we did OTEV? A couple of weeks past jury phase, I think. So OTEV will probably be after jury. Zingbot most definitely after jury. Zingbot's going to be way down there towards the end of it for those two. It's amazing. I still remember so much about those competitions. All right, Clinton Merchant. Clinton, how are you doing? I'm so glad to see you out here, Clinton. Clinton's saying, only takes one comp to be evicted. That's it. You can't. And Keanu's mentioned that. Keanu said, look, it's not that I want to be on the block. He said, I know there's going to be some competitions that involve luck, and I may lose it. And if I do, I'm going home. So I'm not like Kelly. I'm not volunteering to go on the block. He says, but if I'm on the block and it has a comp that has anything to do with skill, I have zero doubt in my mind I'm winning those competitions. It's just the luck ones that I'm a little bit worried about. I think that's valid to think that. Now, there's a lot of skill comps that I guarantee I can outroll Keanu when it comes to rolling balls down ramps, for example, and things like that. But yeah, there's always a bit of luck involved. There's a lot of luck involved. You take the final 2 any season of Big Brother, and I'm telling you, with a little bit of change of luck, shifting when different competitions took place, things like that, you can have a whole different outcome. No one should ever think that they won based on skill alone. It's skill, it's social, and a whole lot of luck thrown in. You can't win without things just falling in your favor. It's just the nature of Big Brother. All right. With that being said, it is 8 o'clock, 8:01. We'll go ahead and shut it down. So much to talk about. We could do this for a lot longer, but in the interest of my voice, we won't. So we'll shut it down right now. Now, just as a reminder, if you haven't already done so, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Tomorrow morning, I will be dropping another recap of all the repercussions of this veto ceremony. And there's a lot of them. I think there's some hurt feelings, some upset people. I think there's some people that are a little too happy for their own good based on the little bit I saw so far. We'll talk about it all tomorrow. And I do it every single Monday. So yeah, please consider subscribing, turning on notifications for the morning recaps. Other than that, and guys, y'all have a fantastic week. I will be here next week. Gonna have fun week. We'll talk more about next week, everything I got going on this week. But y'all have a fantastic week. I'll finish up with the big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV, love you guys, and I love Big Brother. Y'all have a good evening, guys. Talk to you later. Cheers, my friends. Bye. I'm going to lose my voice before this week is over. Y'all have a good one, guys.